What's up? Welcome back to Kenson. Today we're going to be talking about the Barbie movie. As always, I'm late to the trend. This isn't new. The movie came out a month ago, and I'm only just making a video now. I've had things in the way, and I thought I still wanted to push out a video, and I don't know. I've got something I wanted to say. When I watch films, I tend to kind of overthink certain details and then miss the entire main plot. I think that's the point of films. People say art is meant to be interpreted however you want. Um, I don't think this is what they meant. Basically, when I went to the cinema with my family, rather than, enjoying the opening couple scenes or the world building that they're doing, I was really trying to focus on the opening shot, where if they went from Barbie Land and then panned over to the right to show America, which part of Asia Barbie Land would be in. But I made sure while I was watching the movie to kind of remember as many little things that I could, and I could come back here and kind of question them and think a bit more about them. And originally, I have recorded this video before. Maybe you'll enjoy some of the hidden stuff, the stuff that they didn't flesh out, so I've had to sit here and flesh it out myself. That sounds really, really gross. And I tried to fully convince myself that, roughly 8 different theories here were all true, and that the Barbie Land was something meta and something crazy. A lot of the theories aren't very interesting, I'll be honest. MatPat posted a video talking about where Barbie Land is. I haven't watched it. In my opinion, I said India, because basically they pan from Barbie Land to the right, and when they pan to the right, there's no land in between. It shows the left of America. And then the shape of Barbie Land is a heart, and the closest thing to a heart shape in Asia is India. A pretty stupid theory, but I just said it was in India. I haven't watched his video. I'll probably watch it before editing, and I'll put the place where he said on screen now anyway. As well as this, I talked about how the movie is banned in Vietnam due to the fact that in the background they showed something called the 9-dash line, which in 1947 China claimed that they owned a large part of international water, and that's what the 9-dash line represents. Vietnam, as well as other countries, have been trying to kind of get the 9-dash line eradicated because it's directly stopping some of their trade routes. So Vietnam blocked the movie because it displayed the 9-dash line. And when I was watching the film, I noticed just a lot of plot holes. A lot of things that I questioned a little bit more, but I don't know, mostly plot holes. And plot holes have always annoyed me. I don't mind it when they leave things kind of open and you can interpret this how you want. I don't like it when it's just outright, that wouldn't happen. That's not how this works. Yeah, and there was a lot of this in this film. Some of the plot holes that really pissed me off was the getting arrested plot hole. I think that was a cute little bit. But Barbie doesn't have a fingerprint. They also don't have ID. They don't have anything which would be able to get them out of that situation. And then the second time especially, where they outright do shoplift. The first time is self-defense. Legally, you can punch a man in the face after he slaps your ass. That's fine. That's legal. They shoplifted an entire outfit and then ran away. So they would be in prison. Another thing that annoyed me was how when Barbie was crying in Barbie Land, it created a doll without anyone passing it off in the real world of her crying. So this means that, the dolls could do anything politically incorrect and it would create a Mattel doll, right? I'm not going to throw out examples. I think you can kind of get where I'm going with this. Basically, if whatever a doll does in the Barbie Land happens in the real world, the dolls could do anything to get Mattel shut down. And also that would mean that there was a patriarchy Ken or a patriarchy Barbie or something but they obviously didn't. They stuck with the Mojo Dojo Casa House or whatever. So yeah. As well as this, there were smaller issues. I don't like the scene where they pitch an ordinary Barbie because all one of the Barbies has to do is become ordinary, and then it will change a Barbie in the real world. I thought there was a chance that Ken might have been a human. We never actually see a different version of Ken change. When Barbie changes because she's being played with differently, nothing ever happens to Ken in that regard. I know you could say that everyone else is a human. There were some other things. I saw on TikTok someone say that the reason Barbie doesn't like Ken back is because in one scene, the mum who had the Barbie doll said that she never had a Ken doll. That's why Barbie doesn't like Ken. That makes sense. Then there's some ones which are a bit weirder. I don't know, how they pick up the Barbie to lift them off the roofs and stuff. They pointed out that they can do that. What else can they do with that? Why is that just a throwaway thing? Because with that same logic, Barbie would be able to just jump from the floor onto the roof, which would give her like a superhuman jump. And even like a flying thing, if that's just how a child plays with it. I don't know. So they just didn't really acknowledge that Barbie literally had superpowers. As well as this, they did a bit with the Weird Barbie about how Weird Barbie like had her legs spread apart, and that's supposed to be like a scissoring joke. People detached Barbie's limbs. Where was the amputee Barbies? You know, where were the ones that were in constant pain because all of their limbs had been ripped off brutally by a child? I would have liked more screaming agony Barbies in the movie. That would have been nicer. There was another theory as well, which I thought was kind of cool that I saw, called the Will Ferrell verse, which the theory is that because in this movie he plays the CEO of a large toy company in Mattel, that this may be linked to another role where he plays a kid's dad in the Lego movie, where he has a lot of Lego in his basement and is always working. And you get one scene, I believe, of him in a suit. Might be wrong on that one, but the theory is that he is the same person. He is in possession of these sentient toys and stuff that all kind of live their own life. And then obviously in the Barbie movie, he is the leader of Mattel, and he has acknowledged in the movie that there has been a case before where a Barbie has come to real life and has like babysat some kids. So he clearly knows that sentient toys exist, and the theory is that in both positions, he is the one who is able to make them sentient. As well as this, he had no issue traveling to Barbie Land, which means he's probably done it in the past. He also may have traveled to Legoland or whatever it's called in that movie. And then there was like an add-on to that theory that, you know, because of the movie Elf, where he makes Lego super fast, that may also be roped into it. I don't think any of them are roped into each other, but I think the Elf is like clearly the furthest arranged. Okay. This is the one that I actually care about, so I feel like I should give it the justice of speaking a bit more about it. I believe that in the Barbie Land there is like a social ranking system, a class system, a ranking system, or whatever system, one which puts people above other people. In the opening shot of the movie that I talked about before, about how Barbie Land is in India or whatever, they show a clear shot of Barbie Land. You know, they show a plane flying over the top of it and everything, and in bright pink are the words Barbie Land. The words Barbie and land are covered in houses, and if you look closer at them, they're supposed to be the roads of this town. But if you notice, there's like a very small detail that the words Barbie and land aren't joined. And at first, you know, I thought, oh, maybe this is just because they're two separate words, but the other letters are combined. So it's fair enough to say that they could have easily done a running writing to combine these two as well. I still get that they're separate words, but for the town's sake, you would want to combine the E from Barbie and the L from land, just for the sake of not having too much traffic in the city. And this is kind of where the theory took off, because originally my theory was, oh, there'd be terrible traffic in Barbie Land. But then I kind of thought about it a bit more, and I was like, why aren't these places connected? You know? And then it got to some other smaller details. If you remember the film, I know it's been about a month, but still, if you can remember it, when Margot Robbie's feet start going flat, she's clearly having a medical emergency and still doesn't want to go see the one person who can fix it because she's weird Barbie. The whole reason that she's weird is because of her appearance and her personality, right? It's not as if there's anything like wrong with her or something. She's just socially less. She's weird. People don't like her. She's weird Barbie. This point shows that there is like a level of like popularity and favoritism, and people don't like other people as much as other people. So that shows that there is a social ranking at least. Now, if we cut back to the map, we can see that her house is on the land side of Barbie Land, and that she's not even on the road. She's have to go up this pathway. And at first my theory here was maybe the people they don't like, they make live off the road, you know? That way they get further away from the city part of Barbie Land where everyone wants to spend their time. Then I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and I think it's more about the Barbie and the land side of Barbie Land. Another hint at this is when Barbie is asked where Ken lives later on in the film, she says that she doesn't know.
There are Kens too? There are many Kens.
Where do the Kens stay?
I love you too.
I don't know.
Keep in mind that Barbie lives on the I part of Barbie Land, so she lives on the Barbie side of the road. If Ken was to live in either the B, A, R, B, or the rest of I, you would assume that she would have ran into Ken or one of the Kens on her way to the city. or at least seen him like in his front yard or something around his house. But no, that never happens. She's never run into him, which would mean he either lives on the E part of Barbie, on the land, or is homeless. And originally I thought he must just live on land. Land must be the Ken side of town. And then Ryan Gosling confirmed in one of the like interviews that he's done that Ken is homeless. There is no Ken house. There is no real Mojo Doja Casa house. Ken is just homeless.
You know, we as Kens are not allowed into the dream house.
Come on.
Yeah, no. We don't have accommodations.
Yeah, you're also without your own house.
We're not sure where the Kens go at night.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, have you ever seen a Ken's dream house?
Well, I
Isn't
thought
that a
that he
laughable sentence?
I thought that he was with Barbie. Their boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah, but they don't live together.
Yeah, no, it's Barbie's.
Barbie's house.
It's Barbie's dream house. I'm just looking for a van.
This means that she clearly doesn't live on the same side of town as Ken, because she can't drive from the eye from Barbie through land. She has to drive through the Barb side of Barbie, if that makes sense, to get into town. So if he lived on the Barbie side of town, she would have seen him on her way to the city, but she hasn't. This could mean, you know, if you now include that Weird Barbie and Ken's live on the land side and regular Barbie lives on the Barbie side. So yeah, at this point I had a really strong theory that the Barbie land social ranking went from left to right, as in the Barbie side of Barbie land was higher compared to the land side of Barbie land, if that makes sense. Basically, if you are of value, you'll live in the Barbie part of Barbie land compared to the land part of Barbie land. If you take time to actually look at the map, there is 16 pools on the land side and there's 31 pools on the Barbie side. I could still be wrong, you know, some of these may be pools that I haven't spotted, but from what I can see, there is only 16 pools on the land side and 31 on the other. Pools are a sign of like wealth. You know, in order to have a pool, you have to have a good amount of money. You have to be able to buy one and then maintain it. So the side with more pools would likely be the better off, you know, financially placed, if that makes sense. So the side with more pools makes sense to be the wealthier side. And one of the biggest points to drive home here is I believe that there is like a big financial disparity here. Ken's job is to beach, right? Ken does not get paid for his job, nor do any of the Kens. Barbie makes it very clear throughout the movie that, you know, high-paying positions like a construction crew is all women. Politicians are all women. They make that clear in the final scene of the movie when they're saying, oh, can we have someone in this high level of parliament? No. Can we have someone low that doesn't matter? Yes. Like, it's clear that any position of power in Barbie land is ran by Barbies. Okay? So it's not far-fetched to say that Kens just do not have enough money to, like, have a nice house or something, or to have a level of wealth similar to a Barbie. So in the third act of the film, when they finally get all of this wealth and all of everything from running Barbie land, of course, they're going to go to the nicest place in town, you know? If you had free reign over an entire, you know, existing civilization, wouldn't you want to live in the nicest part of town, the nicest houses, get the nicest everything? That would make the most sense. There's probably a bigger house in Barbie land than Barbie's house, but they choose to take Barbie's house. This isn't like a personal thing, in my opinion. I think it's just because she has one of the nicest houses in the nicest area. You know, Weird Barbie's house is massive. They still don't take her house. They take Barbie's house. I know the points have been a bit all over the place, but basically, Barbies work all of the high-paying jobs. Kens are homeless. Even if the Kens were homeless, they still need a place to sleep, you know, a place to exist. They wouldn't be doing that on the Barbie side of town because Barbie is the nice side of town. They would just be sleeping on the streets over on the land side of town. You could imagine that the land side of town would be full of homeless people all sleeping on the streets because there's a lot of Kens, you know? I don't think Alan has a house. Alan is also sleeping on the side of the road. Someone is letting Michael Cera be homeless. The entire right side of Barbie land is full of poverty, you know? Sure, they have jobs, but they're really just trying to keep the Kens busy. What kind of a job is beach? He can't even go in the water if someone was drowning. Ken's job will not pay him. I don't think any of the Kens had a job which really paid them, unless I'm wrong. I didn't look too hard into this. This is the Barbie theory. But if all of the Kens, or at least the majority of Kens, work stupid jobs like Ryan Gosling's Ken, then they would be homeless. And if Barbie hasn't seen any of the Kens on her commute into town from going through Barbie's side, then they're all on the land side. I don't know how much more I can really put into this. I don't believe the Kens have any form of value here. It's really just Barbie's running the world and Ken's are literally homeless. You know, sure, Ken gets this great moment towards the end where he finds out all he has to do is find himself. Then he goes back to sleeping on a park bench somewhere. Both at the start and the end of this film, Ken is homeless. Nothing really changes for Ken. He just maybe finds himself in the end. It's like Shawshank Redemption. You finish exactly where you started. Nothing changes. Maybe Ken will learn in the future that he doesn't like fur coats. It doesn't matter. Basically, the Kens are homeless and the Barbies are rich. So yeah, that's kind of some of the theories I took out of it. Just to quickly recap them. Barbie Land is in India. The ending doesn't matter because none of the dolls are made in a set way anymore. They can just change who they are, and that changes how they appear in the real world. Ken's finding themselves would definitely get Mattel sued in the future. I still don't know if Ken's a human. Barbies have detachable limbs, which means that they could be in constant pain. Barbie and Ken should definitely still be in prison. Will Ferrell has his own cinematic universe, and there's definitely a classing system which ranks Barbies ahead of Ken's. Anyway, we're gonna wrap that up. Yeah. See ya.